This message comes from Carvana, who makes buying and financing your next car easy. Thousands of vehicles, terms up front, and 100% online. Even get it delivered to your door. Buy your car the easy way with Carvana. Delivery fee may apply.
America has recently crowned a new style icon. She is unspeakably chic. Her blonde highlights are the reference for hairstylists across America, and she tragically passed away decades ago. I'm talking, of course, about Carolyn Bessette, the wife of John F. Kennedy Jr. Their relationship is at the center of the hottest romance on TV. The Ryan Murphy-produced FX series Love Story, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette. The series details the ups and downs of their 5-year relationship. They both died, along with Bessette's sister Lauren, in a small plane crash in the summer of 1999. But in life, they were one of the most famous couples on earth. Their enviable style, their enviable Tribeca loft apartment, and their on-again, off-again relationship had every tabloid and honestly, the entire nation up in their business. And I really mean the entire nation. Like, I remember being in elementary school, flipping through my mom's issues of Star magazine, hoping to see the newest paparazzi photo of Carolyn Bessette looking fab on the streets of New York. So it's no surprise to me that with this new FX series, people are falling in love with Bessette's style. Like, make no mistake, she was dressing. But the recent surge of interest in her, a woman who was famously private and never even gave an on-the-record interview in her lifetime, feels a little weird. Fashion brands are using Bessette's style to promote their products. New York restaurants frequented by the couple have been packed with customers who want to sit at John and Carolyn's table. Fans have even been waiting in line at a Manhattan drugstore, hoping to buy a pretty generic-looking plastic headband that Bessette reportedly purchased there decades ago. Like, maybe we're doing a little too much. But if I take a step back and I really think about it, is this obsession with Carolyn Bessette all that different from America's obsession with any other beautiful woman who was gone too soon? Some of our most enduring cultural figures, Marilyn Monroe, Selena, Aaliyah, their images are eternally famous and, to a certain degree, eternally profitable. Something beauty reporter Jessica DeFino has categorized as the Morgue gaze. Beauty inspiration, trends, and products that glamorize ageless, poreless, and lifeless beauty.
If we look at sort of the interventions that we're seeing in the cosmetic space, where so much of the marketing is around become more beautiful to live a better life, some of those values become, I don't know, pretty bleak and depressing to look at rather than like fulfilling.
To get deeper into this, I'm joined by Jessica DeFino, who writes the Substack newsletter Flesh World and an advice column for The Guardian called Ask Ugly. She's noticed an intriguing, if not disturbing, death-focused trend across beauty marketing. Welcome back, Jessica.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hello, hello. I'm Brittany Luce, and you're listening to It's Been a Minute from NPR, a show about what's going on in culture and why it doesn't happen by accident. Jessica, let's jump right into it. It's not unusual for people to find inspiration or even like copy styles from the past, but you sort of made this link between these long gone beauty icons and some of the beauty ideals that we uphold. What is the Morgue gaze?
There's like a sort of glamour in death. I've been like trend watching this sort of renewed focus on like death and dead icons happen. I've been calling it the Morgue gaze. Kind of a bizarre thing happening. But yeah, I mean, dying young as a sort of glamorous woman, you actually achieve the goal of all beauty culture, which is like aesthetic immortality. Like, you get to remain at your peak. No one ever sees you, no quote unquote decline. You're a forever icon.
And so you say you've been seeing this trend for some time now. Like, what are some examples of this gaze? And why do you think it's so appealing to brands right now? Like, what do you think is inspiring this?
I think it's sort of an extension of a cultural nihilism that we're seeing right now. It's a pretty bleak time in the culture, in American culture specifically, I would say. I think we're also becoming like a little desensitized to death, maybe because it's ever present. And that desensitization makes it easier to kind of consume as an aesthetic. I also sort of see it as a continuation of the anti-aging obsession. You know, aging is another word for living. Anti-aging is anti-life. Death is sort of like a natural ending point for that. And
anti-aging is anti-life. Sorry, I just had to double down on that one. Really deep, but go on.
And I also think it's like the flip side of the longevity coin, right? I think we're seeing like a little bit of a pushback to this sort of very kind of weird, creepy push from the upper classes for longevity, living forever. Like we're seeing this from the billionaire class, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the more longevity is kind of in the cultural consciousness, there's a little bit of a weird pushback to that in the form of glamorizing death.
Okay, so I see kind of like what's going on in kind of like a macro level right now. Like you're discussing like a pattern of nihilism that is admittedly something that I can see across a lot of different facets of public life. I could see why beauty marketers want to tap into like whatever is going on, whatever their consumers' vibe is, whatever the vibe of the world is right now, or the vibe of our culture is right now. But I'm wondering, like, why would Morgue Beauty be appealing to consumers? Like, normally, if someone were to say your makeup made you look dead, it would be an insult. So why? I don't know. What are they hoping the play is going to be for consumers here?
See, that's so interesting to me because I don't know that I agree. I'm also thinking that there is in the industry right now a real glorification of lifelessness in any form. Mannequin skin is trending. They call it mannequin skin, which is like sort of a pale wash over the face, pale lips, one-dimensional, not a lot of tone. Mac put out a tutorial for mannequin skin a couple of months ago. But in all of these instances, it's like a lifeless thing that is inspiring the trend or the standard.
That's showing up in beauty products as well, right?
Right. So, I mean, the big thing that comes to mind is cadaver fat as a filler material in the aesthetic space. It is like processed and stripped of genetic material, but it's donated cadaver fat that is being used for injections in your butt or your breasts or your face, like giving that little like fat filler look using this like sort of organic
the fat
material
from another
human being. Yeah. But yeah,
Wow.
This is gaining popularity in a very spooky way. Elf Cosmetics released a collaboration with the sparkling water brand Liquid Death, and they were lip balms shaped like coffins, and they called them lip embalms. Marie Claire UK just named one of the big trends of Fashion Week, Dead Girl Greige. So it's just sort of like a gray scale look all over your face so that you look like a dead body.
What?
I'm seeing this sort of as a continuation of a lot of the inanimate objects that have been glorified in the beauty space as of late. So I'm thinking of like glass skin.
Glazed donuts.
Yes, glazed donut skin. That's an object. That's not a living thing that we're trying to emulate. Even dolls. We saw porcelain doll skin really trend last year. The year before that, Barbie again became the ultimate beauty icon for young girls and for women. These are all dead. These are objects. They're inanimate, I guess is maybe the best word for it. I mean, I even think of just something as simple as Botox, where the goal is to minimize the signs of age. It's to flatten this sort of like multi-dimensional being you are into a two-dimensional image that is sort of frozen in time. And this is all so related to death, to undeath, to inanimation. And I see the influence of just like lifelessness throughout the beauty industry for so long. So to me, this doesn't feel that shocking. It feels kind of like a natural progression of the glorification of inanimation in women specifically.
I'm glad you brought up this point about the billionaire class. We've unpacked like kind of the different health and fitness, wellness, beauty trends that have that they like billionaire, especially the billionaire like technocrat class that is really embraced and is like really boosting AI's public profile. Like I'm thinking of someone like Peter Thiel or Brian Johnson, the guy who's basically like, don't die. That's his whole slogan. His don't die conferences and his whole thing is not dying.
Yes.
It's weird. It's like there's this like living forever, but like with the aid of technology. And I don't mean in the sense of like modern medicine, but like possibly in a way to experience like the singularity alongside like a class of robots. And like they're talking about transhumanism. Like they're talking about integrating the bionic with the into our biology. They're talking about like, merging the man and the machine.
Completely.
It's interesting because it is anti-aging, but it doesn't feel very like life forward in a way.
No.
Even that kind of anti-aging does feel like a kind of death.
Yeah, I would say like, especially with the AI tie-in, what AI is and the promise of merging with AI in the future for this like, infinite existence is a sort of undeath. Like I would say AI is like undead, and this singularity that we're talking about, this merging of man and machine, is more zombie undead like than living a fulfilling human life as we know it.
I guess also too, because like, I don't know, this is not like a direct definition, but my understanding of fulfillment, it means that you are working with some sort of resource that's finite. So like if you want to have a fulfilling life, you have to understand that life is finite. Whereas like if life isn't technically finite, because like you said, you want to merge with the machine and you want to maybe explore never-ending life in a different kind of way, a way that's a lot more focused on bringing technology into the body as opposed to just staying alive with the aid of modern medicine.
Right. It's really bringing up questions of like meaning and what does life mean? What does death mean? Where do we derive our meaning and sense of purpose if death is not on the table anymore, or if that's not going to happen? What makes a good life? And I think if we look at sort of the interventions that we're seeing in the cosmetic space, where so much of the marketing is around become more beautiful to live a better life, some of those values become, I don't know, pretty bleak and depressing to look at rather than like fulfilling.
Don't go anywhere. We've got more coming up after the break.
We all want to talk about how beauty can make our lives better, but there are so many ways in which it can impair our quality of life or even take life away.
Support for this podcast and the following message come from Strawberry.me. If you could go back and talk to your younger self, would you tell yourself that you have a job that truly makes you happy? Many people are stuck in jobs they've outgrown or never really wanted. A career coach from Strawberry.me can help you move on to something you actually love. Benefit from having a dedicated coach in your corner and get 50% off your first coaching session at strawberry.me/NPR.
So it's like less about looking like a dead body, I suppose, and more about like being an inanimate object, which can remain unchanging.
Yes.
And can remain forever smooth, and like plastic doesn't sag like skin.
Exactly. And I think there's also an element of like dissociation going on here. We've seen like dissociation be really aestheticized lately in the beauty space. The writer Rain Fisher Kwan, I believe, coined the term the dissociative pout to describe that sort of slightly agape mouth smile that everybody does on Instagram and has been doing for a while. It's this pose of acting like you don't care, and maybe the pose becomes so real that you actually don't really care. Like there's an element of like that effortless.
Yeah, like devil may care, like whatever. Yeah.
Completely
Nonchalance.
And I think that has like escalated to dissociation, and dissociation is a big part of like glamour and beauty today.
I wonder, like, what do you think this morgue beauty trend and our obsession with dead beauty icons indicates, or rather I should say our current obsession with dead beauty icons? What do you think that indicates about like women's place in society, or what women are dealing with in culture more broadly right now?
I know. I think like a dead woman in some ways is the ultimate woman. A woman who is reduced to image is the ultimate woman. Women are told to be, you know, either wives, mothers, or objects of beauty, or all three. And the image is part of this object of beauty role that women are expected to take on. So I think when we look at these images of women who have died young, they have achieved what a lot of people in life are trying to achieve, which is being frozen in time, which is not growing older, which is not incurring like maybe the public scrutiny or the backlash of growing older, and perhaps daring not to grow old gracefully, whatever that means, you know? And I think politically at this moment, it says a lot about what it means to be alive and to be a woman.
I'm very interested in the inverse relationship that you have highlighted also here, between an obsession with eternal beauty and an obsessive fear of death. As you mentioned, anti-aging is anti-life. Like, let's tattoo that on my forehead, please, because I'm like, I need people to understand. It's kind of and I say this as somebody who, I love to be fully moisturized. I love to feel nice and plump and juicy. But still, anti-aging is anti-life. But I don't know. It's kind of bugging me out that those two things that they are so equally compelling to people, or at least within the same ballpark, right? Mm-hmm. Eternal beauty and fear of death. Mm-hmm. Like, death is the end of life, to give a definition to everyone. You don't need to be beautiful to be alive.
No.
Right? If I had to choose one over the other on paper, I'm choosing to live and maybe be ugly or whatever, you know?
Yes, me too. I think this was probably a couple of years ago now. There was an article in the Washington Post about the rise of tanning, and the headline was like, "I'd rather die hot." I think there's so many ways that we can see, if given the choice between, you know, living and being ugly or having the chance to be beautiful and potentially dying, people are opting for the latter in some like risky ways. And I feel like it's, you know, every couple of months we're seeing a new headline about an influencer who has passed away following a cosmetic surgery. Like, I've been keeping a running list of this, and it's not infrequent. And I just feel like some of these actual life and death consequences are not given the appropriate airtime in the beauty space. We all want to talk about how beauty can make our lives better, but there are so many ways in which it can impair our quality of life or even take life away. And I think those need just as much airtime.
It's tricky because, like, I don't know. I would be lying if I said that, like, I said the idea of eternal beauty didn't sound appealing, right? Like you said, beautiful death does sound even more poetic than an ugly life. Like, it sounds better. But I don't know. I just wonder, like, why is it so hard for us to let it go? Like, this idea of eternal beauty go, even though it requires death, which is, in all of this, the thing that many of us are running from.
Right.
Like, we fear it, you know?
Yes. We could go the Freudian route and talk about the death drive and how we're actually like trying to be in control of our own death subconsciously all the time. And beauty can certainly be a part of that. I think it's also just sort of inescapable living under beauty culture. These messages are reinforced day in and day out. I mean, I can't even count how many ads for various beauty products I see daily between scrolling on social media and being online and doing research for my stories and, you know, being out in the world, being on the subway. It feels like every time I look up, I encounter an ad that's telling me my life will be better if I'm just a little bit more beautiful. And look how easy it could be. It's really hard to not pay attention to that, to not internalize those messages. And I think, we have data that shows really young girls have internalized those messages in a way that it changes their behavior like really early on in life. They don't want their body to be looked at, so they opt out of sports really young, or they don't participate in gym class. So we're talking from really, really early on, this idea of you have to be beautiful in order to experience a good life or a full life. It's all around us, and it's really hard to not internalize that in some way.
Jessica, it's so great to have you back. I'm so glad that we are able to flesh out this conversation of this thing that had just been on my mind. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me back. I love talking to you.
That was beauty reporter, critic, and author of the Flesh World Substack, Jessica DeFino. This episode of It's Been a Minute was produced by
Alexis Williams.
Our supervising producer is
Barton Girdwood.
Our VP of programming is
Yolanda Sanguini.
All right, that's all for this episode of It's Been a Minute from NPR. I'm Brittany Luce. Talk soon.
This message comes from Bombas. You need better socks and slippers and underwear because you should love what you wear every day. One purchased equals one donated. Go to bombas.com/NPR and use code NPR for 20% off.
Support for this podcast and the following message come from Nutrafol, the first and only hair growth supplement to be NSF certified for sport. For a limited time, receive $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping. Visit Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code NPR. This message comes from Alexa Plus. Say hello to Alexa Plus and see how Alexa can do more for you. Craving your favorite restaurant? Alexa's on it. Free with Prime on your Amazon devices. Learn more at amazon.com/Alexa Plus.